Games, Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life here with a special video for the Halloween season. Now, part of our 13 days of Halloween coverage, we are going to do 10, 5 each, scariest moments in horror. Now, when it came to doing this, I kind of had a rule, which was I said to you, try not to focus on what scared you as a kid. Try and think about something that still affects you now, that if you watch, you're like, okay, that still has an effect on me. Maybe even saw it as an adult, and you're like, yeah, that creeped me out. But talking from a personal perspective, having watched so much fucking horror, very little creeps me out or scares me. Certainly scares the wrong word, I think. That's the hardest thing. Does it scare you? But it's a combination of everything. Does it creep you out, make you feel uncomfortable, freak you out, that kind of thing. I think that's good.
Yeah. What about an example from your a childhood one then, just as an example? One you didn't pick. You got one that jumps out.
It's from two major movies. One's Return of the Living Dead, which is obviously my favourite horror movie ever, inspired the name of the title. And there's several from the moment where trash is being swarmed by the dead to the final freeze frame shots, or demons, which is, oh god, there's so much in demons, but probably them coming up the stairs. But even the concept of them full stop scared me. I used to have nightmares actually about demons as a child, so. Yeah, and I could probably pull out 100 others because as a kid, for example, I always remember as a child hating Day of the Dead because it was so bleak and horrible, depressing, really made me feel sad. Yeah. Whereas I liked Dawn of the Dead because I had a bit more pep to it at times. Whereas now, as an adult, I can appreciate Day of the Dead a bit more.
Yeah,
but yeah, so these are 5 that I had a real think about and, well, go from there. Yeah. So, I'll go first.
Yep.
Mine's a joke one. Bram Stoker's Dracula, Keanu Reeves' English accent. Because I know you love that so much.
Oh, left Budapest earlier this morning.
Yes. No, in all seriousness. Yeah, shit like that's
awful.
Horrifying, but in a different kind of way.
I thought you was going to put Sex and the City too. Just the whole film in there as a scary movie as an adult.
No, because that's like the best movie ever made.
Horrific.
It's not. It's the best movie ever made.
Yeah.
They change costumes during scenes.
Can I do my first real one?
I was going to go first.
Okay, go on then.
The Eye. The Japanese version of The Eye. The Pang brothers, I think that's the names, made this wonderful... Now, a lot of mine could have been J-horror. I'm a big J-horror fan, even K-horror, and so on. All the sort of that level of horror, the things like The Ring, The Eye, Dark Water, and all that have had a huge impact on my horror life. There's a period where I was so desensitized, and then I was... when I was back living with my parents, I came home late one night from drinking and sat down in my room and I put the TV on and there was this movie playing and it was called The Ring. It was Japanese horror and I was like, oh, whatever. That was where it started. I was blown away by it, creeped out, scared by it. It's not one of these top 5 because I didn't want to get stuck on all J-horrors. There are 2.
Yeah.
But I chose The Eye. Now, The Eye is arguably my favourite of this because its story is excellent. It's got some great visuals. Its ending spectacular. It's got my favourite emotional scene in horror, which is where Ying goes to visit her. And I'm going to describe the emotional scene first. So basically, after Ying dies, spoilers, she comes to visit her and in the hospital and she realises, because the shadow's behind her, that she's died. And she runs out into the hallway and the music plays and she's crying. And the doctor, who had disbelieved her sight issues up to this point, he comes along and he goes to tell her that Ying's died and she stops him and she basically says she already knows. And he looks at her and sees that she's looking at the doorway where Ying went. And it cuts to his face and the music's playing beautiful music. And for a moment, that actor and actress, brilliant, you see on his face, he believes her.
Yeah.
Just for that flash of a moment.
Yeah.
I love that. But the horror, the scariest moment. So, there are several good ones in this, but this one is the one that I think just ramps up the tension so well. It's when she's kind of getting assailed by the ghosts and she doesn't know what's going on. And she returns to her apartment and she goes in the lift. So, she looks in the lift and she sees in the camera... there's like an old man standing in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
But when the lift door's open, he's not there. And she looks at the camera and he's gone. So she gets in the lift and the door's closed. And then from her perspective, the camera close up to her face, pans slightly to see the old man standing in the corner, facing the corner. So she's like, really, she's trying to ignore it. And she's looking down and you're watching the numbers go up. She lives up quite high. And then from her perspective, you sort of slowly see him moving behind her.
Yep.
Still with his back till he's directly behind her. And then, again, the tension's building, the music's ramping up, the numbers, and she's getting a bit more desperate, and he's slowly starting to turn. And just as he kind of turns to face her completely, the door's open, she runs out, and you kind of see what he looked like. He had a massive indent in his head. So obviously
yeah.
he had a head trauma accident.
Yeah.
That scene, fucking bravo. And I love the fact as well, they ramp it up so much that she then as she runs up the stairs, she runs into the dead boy.
Yeah.
Who she didn't know was dead at the point. And she sees how he's dead as he then jumps out the window. And then she runs to an apartment and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, that fucking scene. When I was speaking about it, I'm like, that creeps me out so much, man. Brilliant stuff. There you go.
My first one's from The Shining.
Of course.
One of my favourites. The bathtub lady. Just the music, just how like.
Which part? The actual the one that's normal looking with Jack, or the one that comes to Danny?
Oh no! When Jack goes into the room to check the room.
Okay.
And then you get that really slow, tense shower curtains. I don't like shower curtains being closed.
Yeah.
That's because of bathtub ladies coming out. So the curtain comes back really slowly. Obviously, quite a nice looking lady, very voluptuous, walking out. And at first he doesn't question it. He's like, okay, naked woman coming out the bath. Slowly approaches him, really slowly done. He's kind of looking a bit disbelieving. They start kissing, and as Jack Nicholson looks into the mirror to look up, he's not actually kissing a nice, lovely, normal-looking lady. She's all decomposing and rotting.
Yeah.
She just like starts laughing hysterically at him, and he backs out of the room.
Yeah.
And it's just so well done. Just the slowness of it. So just even from the shower curtain, the horrible score, and her just coming out towards him. You think, oh, that's okay, that's weird enough. And then, yeah, she's actually rotting. She's dead. And he's kissing a dead woman. Ugh, yeah, no, it's creeped me out as a child, but it still creeps me out now, just because of how it's built up.
It's funny, The Shining, a lot of people reference The Shining in the Scariest Things. Never had any effect on me.
Oh.
Never. I don't even really like the movie. I think it's overrated. Told you this in the past,
I really enjoyed that. There's loads of moments in The Shining, but that just that reveal and then. Ugh.
I mean, it's probably certainly one of the highlights, I think. Yeah, certainly probably one of the highlights, I think, more than anything else, Do you not think it's distracting, full front nudity that occurs in that scene, or do you think that's important for it?
I think it's important for it, because obviously that hotel, there's so much going on in that hotel. And obviously they're trying to get to Jack Nicholson, so they're like, okay, maybe we'll throw in. You're not going to throw in some naked dude, are you? You want to kind of, the hotel wants to like draw him in.
I didn't say naked dude, I meant like, yeah.
Well, Jack Nicholson might have been bi, you never know.
Yeah.
But in that film he was a straight man. So they put in a voluptuous film was maybe to distract him.
Yeah, to be fair, his wife is Shelley Duvall. I'm joking.
But yeah, I think it was just
Popeye!
Just kind of distract him and go, okay. He would know there's no way that.
I think it's effective. I think it's an effective scene, because up to that, it's probably one of the few times there's some genuinely supernatural horror.
Yeah, and you're focusing on them kissing, because obviously the camera pans on them two kissing quite passionately. And obviously it just peels out.
Yeah, the perspective from the mirror is quite good, because it's a shock for him and a shock for us. We share the shock.
Yeah, like, oh, she's all... I can picture it. She's all... Yeah,
the laugh's quite creepy.
She's been in their bar for a long time.
Yeah, decomposed, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. Now you're like, what, really? No, it's this very, very short scene. Very, very intense short scene. So, as a child, Kane, the preacher in it, was terrifying. A man like that,
oh God, yeah.
the look of him is incredibly creepy. His unwavering belief in God, but based in evil, is terrifying. That's not what scares me now. That's not what scared me the most, and what creeps me out and scares me now. I can't remember the name of the mother, but basically she's basically having visions, having a vision of kind of about Cain, and we learn what he was. He was a preacher who convinced, he was a cult leader, who convinced people the end of the world was coming, and that the only way they were to survive it was to bury themselves in a cave, close the cave up and so on. That in itself is, cults are scary themselves.
Yeah,
the real life stuff and all that kind of thing. But basically, and it's the shot, and she flashes, she sees it. And it's the actor is such a creepy bastard. He's so fucking good. His big smile, his thin skin that portrays a skull. The cave is wet and dank and dripping, and he's dripping with water. And he's singing his songs, and all his followers who are wet, and kids and women and men and all that, are all holding his hand. And it is horrid, honestly. Even now when I think about it, it is one of the most... It's horrible. It's a horrible scene.
I've not seen it. I've seen Poltergeist 2.
It's a good movie. It's not Poltergeist 1. It's a good movie. for moments. You know, and as later on as well, you see that cave later on, and Kane's corpse is there, like sitting in the same position, his rotten corpse, and people around him. So like that, but that flash scene of him just holding her hands as they're like desperately trying to touch this man they believe who told them this and all that and led them to their deaths.
Sounds horrible.
He's a terrifying creation. The major part of why Poltergeist 2 had such a major effect on me as a child. Now I watch it back, a lot of it's quite cheesy, whereas Poltergeist 1 holds up incredibly well. Poltergeist 2 doesn't, particularly the finale. But Kane, what a fucking creation. What a creation, yeah.
So my next one is the end of Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. it has creep factor still, but it never had the impact. But go on.
It was just of where Heather at the end is just gone full out. Everyone's gone. She's trying to chase him into the house that's been described. She walks through the house. There's all handprints in blood all up the walls, and then it just cuts to like it's Josh in the corner, back turned.
Mike.
Josh or Mike. Sorry, Mike.
It's definitely Mike, because play a drinking game. Do a shot every time someone screams Josh. You'll be fucked.
Yeah, Josh is the one with the teeth that goes first.
Josh!
Yeah, and it's just because what really got me was just you'd heard the story about she made them stand in the corner, and obviously there's quite a lot else that you're thinking about. The fact that it takes you back to that moment at the end of the film, she knows that's it. Fuck, like, and her pure terrified scream. Oh, it still stays with me now. Like, I just don't like it because it's just raw as well. Like, it does take you back into okay, she's next. Like, she's probably exhausted, but that's how she's gonna die.
Well, it ends with her, in theory, getting knocked on the head, presumably. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think the Blair Witch Project ending is one of its stronger points. I'm gonna try and not get harped on about found footage. I think the thing that I like most about that is it's just fleeting shot of Mike in the corner. The camera holds on maybe 3 or 4 seconds before it gets knocked down.
Because obviously she's probably trying to process it as well, I'm guessing, and then...
Well, because she gets knocked in the head, so that's why. And it is like a good sort of like, that was what they told her at the start. But then on the flip side of that, then it's like, well, you preempted it and stuff like that.
No, I think that...
I think Blair Witch had a lot of... I think, like, time has lessened Blair Witch's impact, and the found footage bumming has lessened Blair Witch's impact. But we did a 10 things we love and hate about Blair Witch, so please go watch that to see more detailed about it. But I think if I was to choose like a scary mock Blair Witch, I would actually choose the moment where they switch. They find all the sticks in the thing, and they switch to the hard camera, which is the grey, black and white one, the more solid one. And you get more shots of it. I think that's more creepy for me personally.
Yeah, that was up there as well. But just for pure visceral, like, oh shit, like he's in the corner. Yeah, that still sticks with me now.
I think it's a good one. Yeah. I do. I agree. It works. Right, we're gonna go to a weird one. This is definitely very personal. Event Horizon, not a scary movie. However, there is something in it again.
Sam Neill's quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Neill's overacting, and it could have been so much better. Read up about the shit that was cut. This could have been a proper horror movie.
It's a shame.
But what's to call it? So, one thing that's always bothered me in horror, it's one of the few things I kind of get stuck on, that I really struggle with. It's body horror. I have only ever seen Cabin Fever once. And it's going to remain that way because it made me feel ill. And that's so rare because things like The Incredible Melting Man and all that, I enjoy them. But the more realistic body horror, grossness of decaying flesh, things like that, a disease that eats away at your body, it's really, really bothered me. Or when people go to extremes to mutilate themselves. Return of the Living Dead 3, one of the reasons why that's had such impact on me is obviously the mutilation of body that occurs in that. It's quite a fucked up scene. It just always sits with me really uncomfortably, and Event Horizon has one of those, and it's the playback video they crew watch, the Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne crew watch of the crew that was on Event Horizon, and it's done in flash scenes and you don't see too much of it,
but you see it enough
of them tearing each other apart and
going to hell, eyes, and
it's mutilation, physical mutilation to each other. It's like an orgy of violence and gore, and I find that really, really sickening to watch, and I find that horror. That is horror. It scares me because it's the idea of people being so out of control and so losing their mind to such an extent they would not just mutilate others, they mutilate themselves in love or out of whatever's driving this passion to pull their intestines out or rip their eyes out, and you know.
Oh, you're offering him up,
It's a real. It's very Lovecraftian. You know, driven to madness by sights and things he's seen. Clive Barker would write a lot of stuff like that, but reading it I find easier than watching. Yeah.
So on the same sort of thing as Event Horizon, what I find quite disturbing and creepy that stays with me is, you know, when they translate it and when they think it's the translation, they find out what's really a translation, and that takes it to a darker level.
Okay.
It's like, oh, what I thought was save us, it was save yourselves, and it was like, oh god, what are they going
of course,
into?
yeah.
Things like that, and like sort of similar other films.
Oh, it's a trope, and it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it because it's kind of it makes you feel a bit cold. It's like, oh, like there's an extra level of like, oh, save us. Oh, of course we'll come help you. No, we're screwed.
It's you save yourselves.
Yeah.
We're already done.
Yeah, so
cool.
I thought that's quite a cool part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My next one, the bed scene in The Grudge.
Okay. The Grudge has got a couple of good ones.
Yeah, because like growing up and even now, you go under your bed covers, you're safe. And in this one, there's something that spooks her. Oh, what was it? CCTV. She starts at the doorway. She kind of.
It starts in the bathroom, which is I think the scarier moment. She ends up seeing it on CCTV when she goes to check on a guard or something.
Yes.
I think he's either missing or is he dead? I don't think he's dead because that would have been
and then she rushes indoors.
Yeah.
She gets into her bed, puts the TV on, and then the famous Grudge noise starts. The TV's all distorted, so she goes under her duvet cover. You're safe under your duvet. No, these fucking things underneath the bed covers.
Yeah.
And then you just get that initial, like that last flash of what's underneath there, takes her away underneath the bed.
Well, I presume you're talking about the J horror, not the Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, J horror. Yeah. But yeah, same, because there's always that thing of, oh, you're under your bed covers, you're semi-safe. It's like, nope, you're going to get ripped underneath by something underneath in your bed. It's a slow crawling up as well under the bed. You're like, don't enjoy that. Still not like watching it now.
It's funny, you said it, because I haven't thought about a Grudge in a while, but actually, Grudge has got another good one, I'd say. The guy that ends up killing the schoolgirls, and he puts newspapers all over his window.
Yeah.
And at the end, you sort of see why, because any holes in that, they're outside looking in.
Yeah.
That's quite creepy. But yeah, the Grudge bed scene, the Grudge has got a couple. That entire sequence of events around that woman is actually quite well done.
Quite well done, yeah. Yeah.
Continuing with J horror, Dark Water. So, Dark Water's got a lot of good scares as well. It's one of my favourite J horrors up there. But the one that stands out to me is basically the finale. And it's the slow build and reveal. And basically, after the apartment's getting flooded, she manages to get her daughter out of the bathtub. Her daughter gets grabbed and pulled in the bath. She pulls her daughter out of the bath water. And she runs out and water's coming everywhere. And she runs into the lift. And she falls down and she's holding her daughter like that. So it's always like that. You can't see.
Concealed, yeah.
The lift doors aren't closed, presumably because of electrical faults. And from her perspective, you see in the distance, and her apartment door slowly opens. So the expectation is the ghost girl is coming to get her.
Yeah.
Coming to, she wants her mother. And it's like she's scared, she's on the door, and on that, and the door opens up, and you see the arm, and then the little girl pops out. And she's like blinking, she's wet, it's her actual daughter.
Yeah.
And like her realization, and she's like that, and then you see its face.
Yep.
And
it's not.
And then she grabs her by the throat. I remember she grabs her by the throat. She says "mama" or something. Grabs her by the throat, and then like the lift doors close, and there's
Just that whole switcheroo thing. Like I say, it builds up tension. You think it's going to be.
The expectation is this, and it pays it off wonderfully. And it pays it off even better when the little girl follows the lift down to the floor, and when the doors open, nothing but water comes flooding out and hits the little girl, and mother is gone.
Yeah.
It pays it off brilliantly. That's an incredibly.
They do moments well, don't they?
Yeah.
Horror.
Well, the classics do.
Yeah.
The classics do. I could have included. I thought about including The Ring. I thought of including things like Infection, Premonition. And there was a great scene in Into the Mirror, called Mirrors in this country, with Kiefer Sutherland. That's rubbish. But Into the Mirror had this incredible scene with the guy in the lift and the mirrors are angled so that it's infinity. You know, the infinity angle where you can see yourself in the distance. And he's freaked out, and he's standing there. And from our perspective, one of his mirrored self turns to face him.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant,
yeah.
you know? Yeah.
There's a non-scary bit in The Grudge as well, where someone goes to, like, commit suicide. Again, sometimes it's just like such quick shots really kind of stay with you and kind of make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I think the guy, when he commits suicide, just lands like all kinds of fucked up. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, it can be like non-horror bits that can be quite scary.
Of course,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
The supernatural parts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
My next one is, it was a short a few years ago. Lights Out. There's the first moment when she turns the light off and there's a fucking monster in the corridor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrific.
Wait. Do you not mean the bedroom short?
Yeah, bedroom short,
The
not the
short.
film.
Yeah, because
the
whole.
the actual the short, not the full length film, because that is horrific. I watched that, and I thought it did the short.
Well, the short
discredit. It
was so effective. It was powerful enough to create a full length movie.
The full length film was horrific though. It had nothing, no tension, it's such a boring story. I'm like, why did I waste my time watching this? But the original short, Lights Out.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh.
Well, it was great up until see the monster's face when it switches the light off.
I don't like the face of that. That's
okay.
Horrible. I don't like the face. I don't like faces in things. But yeah, it's just that initial Lights Out. And there's a short burst of music that comes on when it when you first see the monster. There's that initial like descending to hell kind of impact music. You're like, oh Christ.
Oh, I think it's a brilliant short. Do check it out if you've only ever seen the movie and you don't know about short. Go check out the short. It's very effective. Yeah, very good one. It's basically the entire short, really, more than anything else.
Yeah. So just
it's only a couple of minutes long.
It's only a couple of minutes long, but just that initial first moment when turns off the light switch and then there's don't like it.
All right, my last one. Cheating here because technically it's two. But the reason being is because they're basically the same thing in two different movies, and it's literally, these scenes are 5 seconds at most.
Okay.
That's why.
I'll let you off then.
So the first is in Rec, the Spanish horror, found footage zombie horror, which is a fantastic one if you've ever seen it.
It's a very strong series, isn't it, films?
Rec 2's good. Rec 3 is excellent. I don't want to hear anyone that tells me different. And Rec 4, only watched once. I have to go back and watch it and really see how it is. But my personal favourite is actually Rec 3 more than Rec 1. Funny enough, that you know, just love the story. But yeah, the original Rec, and it's basically comes at the end, and it's not the scene you're all thinking of, which is in the attic. It's actually before that leads to it, and it's basically when everything's done and dusted, and almost everyone is zombies, and they look over the top of the stairwell with a camera and a light. And all you see is the zombies look straight up and start legging it up. Fuck that shit. Yeah. It's that, you know?
Yeah.
Running zombies has always been...
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But this was, you know? And tying into that, again, it's a similar thing, and it's from 28 Days Later. And it's a great movie with many scary moments and stuff like that. Brendan Gleeson's death in that is... You know, Brendan Gleeson when he gets it in the eye, and he tells, you know, brilliant. But actually, it's at the start when Cillian Murphy, he is exploring London, and he goes into a church, and it's really horrible because there's bodies strewn everywhere because people would naturally go to a church.
Yeah, they died like that.
Yeah, and he's on the balcony and he hears a noise, so he says hello, and some of those aren't dead, some of them are infected, and they all just go like that, and they just staring at him because then the priest comes running up the stairs, which is when he first deals with infected. Yeah. But it's that
initial,
They just spin around and they're like that, like they can't believe.
Yeah, you're not expecting,
Like that. So basically, the scary of that and the point of that is anything where you get that unexpected initial monster reaction where they're like, rah, and they know where you are. Yeah. They know where you are.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
And they had their goal is get you. That's. You know, that's why it was two. They're basically the same thing in that quick shot of a reaction, you know? Yeah. Go on, your last one.
My last one, Grave Encounters 2. There's a scene, lifts. There's a lot of lifts moments. So, lifts and corners, I think. we've got like a theme, I think, of some of them. Grave Encounters 2, there's a part where they were actually, the film crew, spoilers, but it's still my badly described scene will probably still go watch
The
it.
students that had gone in to try and find out what happened to the original film crew, yeah.
Yeah, so those students, they kind of got back to, there was like part where they come back to at the listing to a hotel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you think, oh, they've got out, and then you realise they've not got out. It's like just they're on like a loop, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like a
Well,
loop.
they're stuck in the asylum.
Stuck in the asylum, so it's like 'cause that always stays with me more than other things. So like you think it's all over. And really just part of it, because they see like an old lady, they see like a cleaning lady,
Yeah.
they see a cleaning lady in the hotel, and you think, oh, it's just a cleaning lady in the hotel, normal, but it cuts to her actual face, and you realise it's
Done really, really well. I know the scene very, very well. Yeah, so I mean, Grave Encounters 1 and 2, they're both great movies. I would say 1 is better, but 2 has the most effective scare, which is what you're describing there. And what I actually really like about this scare is less about the whole, oh, you're stuck inside, which is in itself. It's actually the old lady described. And what I loved about it was, it's so unexpected, but as the lift doors are closing, from the character's perspective, and one of them looks at her, and she's stopped what she's doing, and she's looking at them with a look of horror, like not horror, hate,
yeah,
like not obvious, but like just looking at them. And as the doors close, you kind of like, and then the lift goes down and it opens, and they're still in the asylum.
Yeah. So they say part of you, when you watch a film, part of your empathy for the characters, you want them to kind of get out. They might have annoyed you during a film, but you do want a nice ending for these people, and it's like, oh god, it's not gonna end. They've not got out. So yeah, I found that really effective.
Yeah,
in films.
I think Grave Encounters were some of the better movies, modern found footage movies that I watched. You know.
Yeah, there was other moments in that I found really scary as well, but that one stood out because I don't like the idea of that. It happened in another film that I think, again, your Wikipedia horror brain better than mine. But there's a
Wikipedia. I'm a bit better than Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, like an upgraded Wikipedia. But there's a horror film where a family moved at the end. They've been haunted, been pestered by a ghost, run them out of their home. They moved houses, and then something happened, and they were like...
A family?
Yeah, family moved house.
You right, see, my initial thought was, you mean Poltergeist, but no, that's not how Poltergeist ends. Do you mean the entity?
Yes.
The entity, okay.
Yes, when they moved house at the end...
Based on a true story.
Oh, yeah.
The woman that gets, like, raped and abused by the evil ghost.
Yeah, they move house, and something goes crash.
Where
it couldn't have happened with anything but supernatural. Like.
Yeah, like they moved to a new house and so on, and then she hears noises again that are similar to what was occurring, and then it ends and it comes up with text about what occurred. Apologies
for my patchy knowledge, but just the idea, the concept's there of just
you Wikipedia can't get away here.
But the fact, the idea you can't get away from something, and I find that a lot scarier. Like it's just constantly there following you.
Talking of which, here's one then for people who are watching. I've got one that I couldn't. Basically, and it's just popped into my head. So I could probably just Google it and try and find out, but I'm pretty sure I always struggle to find this. I saw a ghost film when I was younger about a family being haunted by a ghost and whatever. And there's a point in that movie where they go off to a park or like a barbecue and stuff like that, and neighbours see this ghost going batshit crazy in the house, like running from room to room with lights flickering on and off, like it can't find them. What the fuck is that? Can't remember what that is. Yeah, that's something that sticks. I mean, as soon as we start talking, already I'm like, oh, but there's also this movie, and there's that movie, and there's this, and there's that, and so on. We've got to try and keep this more succinct. But there you go. There's our 5 each. 5 scariest moments in horror that we personally chose. Let us know what yours are in the comments. Be fascinated to know. Thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button.